We were definitely interested in fashion, but we were interested in a new kind of fashion, being different.
Music and fashion sort of run close neck and neck.
You need to really be precise about your craft on anything that you do.
You know, it was bigger than fashion for me. It was more like, just like, create.
I just, found my way making my clothes in my apartment, made a studio in my apartment, and friends that I was sort of hanging out with that sort of having a need, So I just filled the need. And then it led me to Patricia Field and started selling clothes in her store.
Anything that happened at night, that's where those people came
during the day
to get their night look on.
I worked at Patricia Field. That was my first job in New York when I was underage. Everyone thought I was in my 20s and I was only 16, 17 years old.
I saw Patricia Field with her brilliant red hair, and I walked right up to her and I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing.
She created an atmosphere where it could all happen, for itself. She wasn't orchestrating any of it, except for tolerating and encouraging people.
The kookery.
I'm David Dalrymple, and I'm a clothing designer, and costume designer, fashion designer. And I work here in New York City, work with musicians and artists and actors and actresses. When I moved to New York, it was the mid-'80s. It was a huge clubs. The '70s had just happened. I'd heard about these places like Plato's Retreat to, Studio 54 and just, all of this, coming up as a kid, it was just all the glamour. But then at the same time, as soon as I pulled into town, it was the AIDS crisis, Even then, even though the '80s were a great time, we were living like in the shadow of the '70s, and you always heard that, what we had missed. It was quite a scene though, when compared to now. Today, people might be real easy for them to find people who are like them online or on a blog or this or that. But now, back then you might find just one band or one thing, and you might have to start following them, and you go and see them. And it took some work then. It took some work to get in to societies and different cliques. It seemed like back then also you'd see people on the street of New York, like a friend and I call them like the rare birds. Like you'd see more exotic birds on the street than you do now. We'd actually follow people. And see like where they went for lunch, where they went, On the west side, the piers, there would be, people out there, they'd be dancing, they'd be, carrying on and voguing and doing shows and going into different clothing stores and seeing where people walked and went during the day. I went to FIT, and when I left FIT, I didn't want to go in the normal, I didn't want to go and work in a cubicle, I didn't want to work in corporate fashion, and I just, found my way making my clothes in my apartment, made a studio in my apartment, and I was making things for myself and things for my friends, and, people that I worked with wanted the clothes, people who performed in clubs like RuPaul and Lady Bunny and Delight. So I just filled the need. I was go-go dancing, sometimes 4 or 5 nights a week. And it was literally other go-go dancers asking me, what am I gonna wear to that party where we're supposed to wear all silver? Oh, I'll make it for you. So it just sort of happened. There was one show at the Boy Bar, and I did all the costumes for 5 or 6 people, and I met Pat that night, and she was like, I want these clothes in my store. And so it just sort of happened that way. Looking back, they're really small things, but then they seem just monumental. Lady Bunny was doing a live Valentine's Day window in Pat's store, and she was on a bare mattress with, banana peels and a phone, and like she was on, the phone sex line for Valentine's Day. So I made her this, really, over the top, nightie, like this feather nightie with feathers, and crystalled her shoes and the whole deal. At that point, you really went for irreverence. You really went for irreverence, and you went, get attention. And I mean, you wanted to be noticed. You wanted to walk up to the red velvet ropes and have them, let you in. We were definitely interested in fashion, but we were interested in a new kind of fashion, and being different. Designing for the ones is a real pleasure, because designing for anyone who's directional it's definitely so much easier. It allows me to, it gives me so much freedom to not be inhibited by, oh, he won't wear this, or this has to be that, or this has to be. First of all, they're friends, and second of all, they're both have like unique style, and it's easy.
Hi, I'm Nisham, and I'm a native New Yorker. I met Paul and JoJo in the late 80s. We all worked together at a Patricia Field store in the Village.
Hi, my name is JoJo, and when I moved to New York City, the club scene was really exciting. It just sort of played off of like disco ending, and punk and new wave were sort of colliding into each other, and there were clubs like the Palladium and Area.
I am Paul Alexander. And so, yes, we all grew up here and came together in the city, started hanging out, wanted to make music. We did, and we're still doing it.
David's a big part of the creative part of the ones. David and I used to be roommates, so we all kind of grew up together. He's been making costumes for us individually and as the ones for since forever. We would go out in a different outfit almost every night.
Like Hatfield's always had this like for people that worked in the nighttime world and catered to people that were outcasts and people that weren't a part of the regular society. And we worked in a store that was basically a nightclub in the daytime. And the people that came to that store were hookers, pimps, sluts, whores, bitches,
Drag queens.
superstars, drag queens, people in the music industry, people that were drug dealers, like you name it across the board. And it's so weird how like at that period, it was like one of like maybe 2 or 3 places in all of New York City that happened.
The staff that she had, I mean, you wouldn't go anywhere else and see anyone like that. I mean, you couldn't go into IF and see a transsexual working there, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
someone in drag. You would never see that. So just walking in that store was...
Working at Hatfield was amazing, especially back then, because everyone came into Hatfield, so we saw lots of people.
I know for me it was a little intimidating the first time before I did get a job there. So the energy was, you could touch it. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, when Cher comes into the store and you're kind of like, oh my God, she's wearing those boots that she wore in Witches of Eastwick. And that was one of the only places that you could be in a gray area as far as your being and pass and get a job and earn a nice
honest
wage
living.
and be accepted. It was such a small fishbowl of craziness that like, it was just really a fun, amazing time to, I don't know, be a thing to be a part of.
So my name is Raquel Reed. I'm a New York City burlesque performer. I'm also a makeup artist. I've lived in New York now for about 7 years. When I was underage, I worked at Patricia Field. That was my first job in New York. Everyone thought I was in my 20s and I was only 16, 17 years old. I really got to play dress up every day and discover myself. And that was an interesting experience. That really made me come further with myself into my roots. I was the only real woman there. I went through the worst of looks, the best of looks. You know, I hope that now as I'm coming together, you know, I just turned 24. I'm still young, I'm still trying to find myself, but trying to come together and be myself and find myself and be a woman and be more put together, and I feel like I'm finally there. When I first moved to New York and I was 16, I was really inspired by the nightlife. I would go out for free, you know, whether I was being paid or not, and just having fun, and you can portray whoever you want to be. The stuff I see, I could write a book on. Everyone turns into kind of a cartoon character in the Lower East Side. You see so many people that you can draw a picture out of, and I kind of love that about it. Valissa Yoe is one of my good friends. She's also very popular in New York City. She's my redheaded other half. And you'll see her running around the city, and sometimes people will confuse us of each other. She kind of looks like Jessica Rabbit. She has the most perfect curved body. She's one of the top stylists in New York City. She is awesome. She styled me for a shoot for Kareem Black, and she styled me in the blondes. It was beautiful. She did a great job. She's really awesome.
Hi, my name is Valissa Yoe, and I'm a New York-based fashion stylist and DJ. I moved to New York City when I started studying at FIT for fashion design. My first ventures out to Fashion Week, I was just fearless. I didn't know who anyone was, and I got into the tents. I snuck in because I was just fearless. And I saw Patricia Field with her brilliant red hair, and I walked right up to her and I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. I love your outfit. I love your hair. Like, who am I? I have no clue what I'm doing. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Do you know anybody who might need an intern? This is what I'm asking her. I don't even know who she is. She's like, yeah, she rips out a piece of paper, gives me her name and her number. I never call her. I'm an idiot. After I graduated FIT, I got a job working for Stevie Wonder's wife, and we got to dress Oprah and the First Lady and a bunch of celebrity wife clientele, and it was just amazing. First time, out of school, to just be around all that energy and learn everything about the biz. I met Patricia Field later on when my friend was asking around for her because they were so sick of their skinny bone models for their website. And I was called in because of my curvaceous figure, and I got to model for her website for just, a few online things, but we shot in her ridiculous apartment right next to her store. It was just amazing. So she's got a great team of people around her, of creatives, so I'd stop in there it's a few blocks from my house, so I stop in there all the time to see what's going on, see what the mover and shakers are up to and wearing, and where the parties are, where what's next for New York. That's one of the epicenters of what's cool in New York. She runs it.
I would say we all frequented this one bar that was like our finishing school. It had a stage.
The boy bar.
We all performed on that stage, and there was a troupe of performers that performed weekly rotating. There was this family there, and the overseer, Matthew
Caston,
was definitely very inspirational in finishing us as performers and sort of bringing that out of us. And I think that definitely polished us. And then, we went on to other things, collectively and individually, but that definitely was our finishing.
It was home base for sure.
Wigstock was the thing that made me think wow, what an incredible thing that we are a part of, and what an amazing movement. It was one of the first Wigstocks I remember was seeing Delight for the first time. They were my favorite band. I was a backup singer for Delight, so seeing them at Wigstock was my first introduction to them, and then to be able to go on tour with them, it was amazing. And just Wigstock was our community, our group coming together for I always used to describe it as the first day of school, because it always happened at Labor Day at the end of the summer, and it was all summer long. Everyone was thinking about what they would wear and what they were going to do and how we were going to turn it out.
I was in a group called JoJo and the Jockstraps. Paul was in that group with me, and we opened up for Delight that year that they were at Wigstock, and their album was a hit. Group in the Heart was, so it was like a really exciting. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe Bunny asked us to open up for Delight. That was like the pivotal moment. It was like, I have arrived.
I had always wanted to start my own band and write music, but I hadn't done it at that point. And I called Paul, and we wrote Flawless.
And then we also used to sing at Squeezebox, this party down at Don Hill, God rest his soul. And so that was like a rock and roll party with a live band. It was kind of the downtown divas would perform there. So JoJo sang there one night and asked me and Nisham to sing backup for him. Then Nisham sang 2 weeks later and asked me and JoJo, said, you know, that sounded good, would you sing backup for me? So after we all went through our turn singing lead and asking each other to sing backup, the idea was just like,
let's be a band. It's been hard sometimes to maintain the same level of enthusiasm, being in a group together with the same people.
With 3 faggots for 13 years.
It's it's impossible. It's hard,
almost.
But I mean, now that our new record is out, I know are all very proud of it. We love it, and I want to keep doing it. And as long as we can continue to make our friends happy and inspire people that we don't know, then I'm happy.
Fabrics that I work with, they throw back light. Things that throw back light, they stand out. I love light, I love sunlight, I love, sequins, mirrors, all of those things that on stage are what people go for. Brittany at the VMAs, she came down the stairs and it was like, oops, I did it again, with the Velcro. We showed her the Marilyn Monroe singing to JFK, and we showed her Cher breaking out of some costume, and that's all we needed to do, was show her those things, and she was real open to that. I was on a plane. I was on a plane to Europe, and we were doing, a show in Paris. I kept hearing about that via phone call. I felt really far away, and it was like I didn't see the New York papers and, American papers until I got back. It was pre-internet. It definitely changed my entire career.
I was just, destined to move here, and once I got here, that was it. Like, I felt at home. I felt like I was here for a purpose, to inspire people and to let people know that they can be themselves and be outrageous and be full of life at all times, and don't be scared of that. And that's why, it was bigger than fashion for me. It was more like, just like, create. Just open yourself up to who you are, and just vibe. The whole drag scene has had a big influence on my work and makeup, styling, everything. It's kind of where I landed when I came into New York, and the club scene, and just pulling from that. And they beat their faces to perfection. So I even studying drag makeup, just taking even a tenth of what they do and using it in my shoes, just taking pieces of their technique and this and that. It's been a big influence in my work. The focus hasn't really been on the music and the New York party scene anymore, which saddens me a little bit, but we're just trying to counteract that, and I'm just like pushing out really good music and like sometimes playing to crowds that don't really know what I'm doing or what I'm playing, but like as long as you have them dancing, you can like kind of get them back into it. I'm playing like deep house, like soulful stuff. I feel like it's my duty to kind of like keep it going and, you know, keep people like understanding or just like enjoying like real music. Raquel is just like, she's like a little cartoon character, and like she's just such a vixen, and the way she like contorted her body and was just like unreal. She's like upside down or on their legs in the air on the couch doing just like crazy moves up the side of the wall. Like we were making art, and that's what it's all about.
Burlesque, it's still new for me. I've always loved making costumes and all the pinup girls of the 40s and the 50s, and it just kind of seemed natural to fall right into it. Being very inspired by women feeling powerful just with their sexuality and their bodies, and you know, it's not something that's dirty or really provocative. It's a sexy way of showing your womanhood, and I really loved that fact about it. I love putting together my routines. I'm a full trained dancer, and you know, it was really easy for me to incorporate that into it, and I'm having a blast doing it. I want to focus on burlesque full time and see where that will take me. You know, you got to follow your dreams now when you're young. Why not?
Friends, we're all fabulous people that have all become somebody's major or influenced some sort of scene or some action or someone else. So at this point, being that we're slightly older, we know so many people that are the stylist for this one, or the hairdresser for that one, or the designer for this one, or, you know, everyone we know is somehow gone on to do great things on their own. And it's because we were all such creative individuals when we were younger. The success of one inspires you to do your thing a little harder until you get noticed, and then before you know it, everyone is successful. Or not.
Yeah, it's like a friendly competition in a way, but it's not with, you know, just like I want you to do your best, but I want to do good too. I don't think there's anything wrong with friendly competition. It's good. I mean, it just makes everyone work harder, you know, and I want you to do great. I really do, but I want to do great too, or just as good. And that's nothing wrong with that. It creates great art. That means everyone's doing something powerful, you know.
Right, and having somebody in your close-knit family of friends and freaks that does get some success, then you see that it is actually possible.
Yeah.
That person made it, and they've got a hit song on the radio. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do it too.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
It's great to see your
It's
friends
just nice
do
to
well.
know that it is possible. It's
Yeah.
not like this like complete dream that is never attainable.
This collection is Dalrymple LaForge. Scooter LaForge is an artist, and she's a friend of mine, and this really great relationship. Pieces like that are really clean, and they give you the glamorous sequins that people want, but there's this painterly touch. There's always like either a destination or why would this be wanted? Why would this be needed? Things like, you know, great t-shirts, I think that people wear them. It's like nothing more American than jeans and t-shirts. An idea like maybe it was like a Chanel skirt. It's in disrepair, encapsulated in tulle, nothing falls on the floor. You know, it's like there's a story behind certain things, behind certain garments. Well, this one got a lot of people going, the sequin motorcycle jacket. Yeah, it was one of our #1 pieces. And this one is like the off-shoulder sequin motorcycle jacket. This little number. Do you think that one was at the Ones video? The early 90s are back. And when they told me the early 90s are back, I was like, oh, I can do that.
Most likely I do dress like this. I always have my makeup done. My hair is always done. It's just how I feel comfortable, you know? How do I sort through a store? On my hands and knees, digging, not afraid, because you really, in thrift stores and in vintage stores, you really have to dig for what you're looking for. You can't be afraid. I'm gonna try these on. Just go for it. These are awesome. What do we think about these? Yay, nay? Oh, yes. These are really nice. Oh, yeah. These match my outfit perfectly. I like these. These I'm into. These are like a lady who likes to lunch. That's what these are. This is definitely Golden Girls. Yeah, this is the one that makes you drool over here. Ooh! I was actually supposed to move to LA in a month. I've been planning it for 2 years now, and I was supposed to move with my mom, and I talked to her a few days ago and said, you know, I'm thinking about quitting my job and doing burlesque full time. And burlesque doesn't really exist too much in LA. It's not really poppin' there. In New York, you can do shows all over the city 3 to 4 times a week, and I would be paid more than I would at my day job.
Okay, welcome to my insane closets. I have about 4, 5, 6, 7 in my apartment. This is like the Cadillac apartment in the Lower East Side, like for that reason alone. These are my favorite new purchase. This is from Helmut Lang, and they're actually quite comfortable. But I got like the whole ensemble, the whole print to match, because why not? One of my favorite hats. Omar Alexander got me this from the Petfield store. Keith Haring. I just went to Paris for Fashion Week, and there's this really cool thrift store there. I picked up my winter coat. Halloween. This is one of those Halloween costumes that you're just never gonna be able to throw out in your life. Jessica Rabbit, anyone? This designer, Christian Severa, custom made this piece for me, and it's just never going anywhere. It's been in a few photo shoots since. I had Chromats design or custom fit this Jessica Rabbit cage dress for me. I got to DJ at one of Suzanne Barge's parties in it, just with like a little white bathing suit underneath. Next time I'll be a little more daring and maybe nothing. This was also made for me from my favorite spandex queen, Butch Diva. Got a lot of attention on the internet. I will say something about it. And I do dress, you know, somewhat demure and dark New York sometimes. This is my Rick Owens gauzy long sleeve winter piece. I got this in Iceland with the leggings to match. It's from KTZ. Definitely not like a date dress or anything like that, but it's made its rounds and definitely brought some happiness to people's lives, I will say. I mean, I do feel like a little bit of a clown when I have it on, but a very sexy, sexy clown. When you have hair like mine, it's kind of like a given. You're gonna wear a gold spiky heel. It looks like teeth, like someone's gonna eat your face. Every woman needs to own, you know, a little black like undergarment. Sucks you in real nice, pushes things up where they need to be. I love Iceland. And here's a little glacier print. This is like vintage Invitation of Christ. I had the pleasure of styling Catherine Malandrino along with Nomi from Jessica 6. And this is one of her pieces. I love that woman. So that's just one closet.
Some days I feel like I want to go and work on the back of a UPS truck and just not do this at all.
I love when people are excited by us and are into it. And I love when something works. I don't mean work as far as being a hit, but I love when a group of people identify with it and it grabs them.
It's really good to be able to inspire people all the time. That's what I get every time I'm out.
I'm sure you get to be creative but that's not always the day-to-day. You know, the day-to-day is making it work and making it pay the bills and
I want to live my dreams, and I'm young now, so I gotta try it all now.
Last night, Gavin from LCD Sound System said to me, it's like, oh my God, New York City Jungle, what a great song. And he went on and on about it. And I told him how Oliver had wanted us to sound like LCD Sound System when we were recording that album. And he's like, really? Because we were trying to sound more like you guys. And I'm like, there you go. The grass always smells greener when someone else is smoking it.
New York is the leader. It's, no matter where I've traveled in the world, people are just, they meet you and you're from New York and they're just, enamored. They're like, oh, New York, I've always wanted to go there.
Let's start with like all of New York City changing in the 90s with no stripper joints, the destruction of 42nd Street and it turning it into Disneyland. I mean, all those things really shaped what we have today, and I just think it's a lot different, I have to say, as far as like the hedonistic quality and what you can get away with, and I don't know, it was a new wild frontier, you know what I mean, where you could be introduced with
every night's an
the thing.
adventure.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's like that so much
And not
anymore.
to be missed.
The kids coming up now, they think they're having the time of their
Well,
lives.
they are
So,
having their
I
time
mean,
of their lives, of
I
course.
mean,
So
I think
it's not to say
you
that
know.
it's terrible, because these kids, they don't know.
Yeah, they're
that.
having
They're
the time
having
of
their
their
fun.
lives. They
Exactly.
don't know anything different.
Like everyone's just like vibing downtown. This is like my home. I feel like, I've got a great network of friends, close friends, family, party kids, like all these independent designers. Like everybody is like meshed into one, like there's no boundaries. That's why I DJ and I do fashion styling. I do makeup too. I do, consulting. I do everything. I'm an artist. It's like, it's undeniable. If I didn't do everything, I would just be,
It's like when you say, "Oh, well, it's so mean to have a dog in the city." It's like that dog doesn't know any better. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm taking a weird turn. It's like, but it's like if I never experienced what you're talking about, how do I know?
How
So
do you know
they're
that what
having a
I'm
great
doing
time.
is bad or isn't as good
Exactly.
as what you had? They're having their fun in their moment.
So
Yeah.
in that aspect, New York is very different, but it's still fun.
I remember moving here and just being, thinking it was the most magical place in the world, and I think it still is.